All right, ladies and gentlemen, guys, we'd like to welcome you to the show. This is your host of the afternoon, early evening, DJ Just Jay with Just Dimes ENT, here to bring you guys another story out of the state of Texas. This is where I live. I'm definitely going to talk about my state. If I can talk about other people's states, then I'm sure you guys can respect that I can talk about the place where I lay my head at, right? Because we have an embarrassing act on a father's behalf, and I am extremely sad to say that a father had custody of these kids. He's done something very heinous. We're going to talk about it in a way that might not sit well with your sensibilities. So if you guys are not able to digest that kind of content, then all I ask you to do is just hit the red X in the top right corner and exit my channel. You know why? Because there's no need to flaggy my channel. There's no need to flag the video. You are here on your own accord, so all you have to do is just leave if you don't want to hear it. For everybody else that wants to hear what happened, here is the story. We get his picture up on the screen there, the damn idiot. 31-year-old Robert Preston, that's his name. Robert spelled traditionally, Preston, P-R-E-S-T-O-N, faces criminal charges after police found his 4 sons. Count them. Not 1, not 2, not 3. 4 children that they left in this fool's possession. Like fool's gold, this fool's possession had 4 kids under his watch who were all 5 years old or younger. You guys catch that? 5 years old or younger. This story is about to get really crazy. If y'all got a weak stomach, y'all might want to turn to a different show. For everybody that's real and want to hear some real shit today, y'all need to hear this out, okay? All these kids were 5 years of age or younger and appear to have what they quote as limited contact. Are you guys familiar with the terminology limited contact? Because if you are not, we are going to give you what the actual Google definition of limited contact is. Limited contact. Oh, no, not that. Not that limited contact. Basically, limited contact with social interactions with other children, with other adults, other human beings. Like they're not socialized, basically. I thought it was going to give me like an actual definition, but it didn't. But that's okay. Limited contact with the outside world, meaning they were completely shut away from the entire world for all these years. I don't even know how you even accomplished that. So maybe dumbass Robert, if he ever gets out of jail, maybe dumbass Robert can tell me, how do you manage to keep 4 children away from the rest of the world and nobody says anything? Nobody saw anything? Remember we have a mantra, see something, say something, see something, say something. Y'all remember that? We talked about this, right? The neighbors, we got the neighbors out there. Somebody had to have seen or known something. This is this guy's mugshots from 05 to 2015 to 2017. He looked like 3 different people in all 3 of those photos. And it looked like life was just smacking him in the ass all the way down the line. Now, with these children living from limited contact with the outside world, they were living in what they call squalid conditions. Are you guys familiar with squalid conditions? Squalor? Living in nasty, filthy, dirty, stinky conditions. Conditions that are so bad that you wouldn't even put an animal in those conditions. You could actually be arrested for an animal living in those kind of conditions. Think about that for a moment, and you have babies in these conditions. This was in South Dallas. All right, now let's keep going. Now, Robert Preston was booked. As you guys can see, that's him in jail. There was very little bit I could find on him on social media, but he was booked into the Dallas County Jail late Saturday on 4 counts, obviously for the 4 children, from abandoning and endangering a child with the intent to return. Now, how many stories have I done just in the past 7 days of parents abandoning their children? Yeah, pretty damn sad. Now, police were called to the Rosemont at Meadowlanes Apartments in the 4700 block of Meadow Street near Elsie Faye Hagen's Street and South 2nd Avenue around 6:30 p.m. after a resident reported finding a young child running around in the road at the complex. Thank you for the neighbors. See something, say something. Very good job. A resident reported finding a young child running around in a road at the complex. The 3-year-old boy was wearing a t-shirt and he was cold. He was shivering. It was very cold that day. The temperature was around 40 degrees. I've told you guys this before. Once the temperature drops below 50 degrees, for a big adult like me, I'm 6'2.5", whatever. 6'2", 280 pounds. I'm not a small guy. If you've ever met me in person, you know I'm not a small guy, right? I would be cold at 40 degrees. I'd be freezing, like my hands would freeze. I feel like I'm about to catch frostbite at 40 degrees. I don't deal with the cold very well. So imagine, just imagine, I'm just throwing it out there so you can imagine what a 3-year-old will be going through. Much, much smaller. Probably not even any taller than my waistline. Okay? Was running around in nothing but a t-shirt and the temperature was around 40 degrees. And guess what? He only had on one shoe. Put a pin in that, bookmark it. We'll come back to that. He quotes, Mr. Robert Preston quotes, and he says, this idiot says, I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bad father. I love my kids. Anybody that knows me, my family, will tell you that. Now, doesn't that sound like the story I did just the other day? These parents do these heinous things to their children and then turn around and say, I'm not a bad person. You got family coming out saying, well, they're not a bad person. Then you got the defending attorneys talking about, well, I don't want you to think that this person's a bad person just because they made a bad judgment, a bad decision. Yes, they are bad people. Matter of fact, I'll take it a step further and say that they are the worst people. You know why? Because if you did that to another adult would at least have the presence of mind, would at least have the physical ability or some form of being able to try to fend for themselves. Children 5 years and under cannot fend for themselves at all. They are completely defenseless. That's why as parents and as residents and as citizens of the United States of America, as law-abiding citizens, we are Americans first. We need to make sure and stand up and speak for the children. I am so proud of this neighbor stepping up and saying something. Stop making excuses for dumbass people, okay? Now, according to the arrest warrant affidavit, Preston walked up to officers, catch this, as they were interviewing the neighbor and asked them if they had found his child. He walked right into the police asking them had they found his child. What a smart man. Police said Preston had outstanding warrants, of course, because that's what thugs do. I don't know why anybody likes to continue to procreate with thugs. If you date thugs, you date death. You guys remember that? We made that up here. That's our thing. You date thugs, you date death. That's what happens. He had outstanding warrants, so the officers put him in the car. That's when he told them that they should probably also check on the other children in his apartment. Of course. He had said he was gone to the store to get food for the children and had only left them for about 10 to 15 minutes. That also sounds like the story I just did a couple days ago. Police determined that there was an active parole violation warrant out for Preston and arrested him for violating probation on an old robbery charge. So he's a damn thief. Then found 3 other children inside his apartment. Guys, I'm going to warn you, if you are squeamish, if you're eating, some of you guys, this might be your early dinner time. I'm warning you, it's about to get bad. While we almost got 200 people here, please hit the thumbs up. It'll share the show and let other people know that we are live. Please hit the thumbs up. I'm begging you. I'm reaching the thumbs out. All you got to do is just touch it. Touch this. Please touch this. Touch that. Hit that thumbs up. Please share it. Share it. Share the show. All right, now, an officer put him in the squad car, and he said someone needed to go check on the other children. He told the police he had only been gone about 10 to 15 minutes and had left the oven on to cook dinner for the children. I'm going to prove to you guys why all of this is bullcrap, okay? When officers went inside Preston's apartment, they discovered he had left the 4 children inside with the oven on And there wasn't much food inside the apartment for the children to eat either. And there were no clean dishes or silverware. It's about to get worse. Okay? There was no food. There were no clean dishes or silverware. And I also want to say, I think there was no furniture in here also. Okay? I'm not speculating. I'm telling you that for a fact. Now, the door to Preston's apartment was unlocked, police said, which is probably how the other kid got out of the door, the 3-year-old. And a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and the 3-year-old's twin brother were sitting on the filthy floor. I'm going to point out something. Because, shout out to my brother, Tommy Sotomayor. Make sure y'all check out SotomayorENT.com for the anti-PC tour. Tommy always shows these videos of these grown people sitting in apartments on live with no furniture sitting on the goddamn floor. This is no coincidence that we have our priorities completely effed up, right? We see it all the time. He shows it all the time, and I'm glad he does, because now you guys can kind of understand in the black community, this is not a rarity. This is not a sliver, Mr. Watkins. It's not a sliver, sir. This is a ton of black people that we see every day. It could be your damn neighbors. Some of y'all know these type of things, right? Now, they were sitting on the filthy floor, and there was no furniture, nor a table or anywhere for them to eat other than the floor. Okay? And a number of open bottles of alcohol were on the floor. So we have no money for food. We have no money for furniture. We have no money for clothes. We are not cleaning up this nasty ass apartment, but we're buying bottles of alcohol. That's a personal choice. No excuses here, okay? The entire home, they said, reeked of feces. The entire house reeked. The entire apartment reeked of feces. That's probably diapers. That's probably piss. That's probably unflushed toilets. That's probably bad breath and all kind of stuff. Probably the dog. That could be just anything. This is what the officer wrote in the affidavit. Now, the oven was on Indeed, the affidavit said, and it appeared that some food had been left down so the children could actually reach it, which is another concern, because if that's the case, then he could have been just leaving these kids there at the house for a while. We don't know how long this was going on because these kids hadn't been socialized. Now, a red bucket next to the counter seemed to function as a step stool so the boys could reach cereal. Police didn't see any clean dishes or silverware, and when a police officer asked the children where the cups were, one of the boys went into another room and came back with a Sunny Delight. You know Sunny D? They came back with not this bottle, but a Sunny Delight bottle with crusty remains of chocolate milk in it. This fool right here is responsible for this. Are you guys, yes, if you're eating, you might want to take a pause for the cause. Listen to this again. The officer asked the kids, where are the cups? The little boy went into the room without saying a word, went and came back with an empty Sunny Delight bottle. Of course it was dirty, but it had remnants of crusty chocolate milk on it. Do you know how long you have to leave a bottle just sitting and chilling? If any of you guys have ever raised kids, and if any of you guys have ever had raised babies from birth, I have, and you leave that bottle and you just let it sit, how long does it take for crust to develop on it? You have to leave it for a little bit in order for that to develop. Now, officers noted that the kitchen sink was nearly overflowing with stagnant, opaque water. Stagnant. It had been sitting. Opaque. That means not translucent, not transparent. Transparent, you can completely see through it. Translucent is like a film. Opaque is like not see-through at all. You couldn't see inside the water to see what was inside the water at all. And I can almost guarantee you, if I was the officer, I wouldn't reach my hand in that shit, right? It was nearly overflowing with stagnant, opaque water that had food floating in it, and it smelled like a dead animal. Mr. Robert Preston. Mr. Robert 31-year-old Preston. Isn't that something? It'd been sitting there so long, he said it smelled like a dead animal. Let's keep going, because there's more. Do you guys want me to stop? I'm just being real, for real. If anybody wants me to stop right now, tell me y'all want me to stop the stream. We'll go to a video. We'll cut to commercial, whatever we need to do. Man, thank you, Joey. Yeah, he said he couldn't believe it. Do y'all want me to stop? Seriously. I'm not trying to gross anybody out on purpose. I just want y'all to understand what children that can't defend for themselves are having to go through. I want y'all to understand how a lot of children end up in foster care, how parents like mine before I was born end up getting into the foster care system and end up adopting children and taking on children. Shout out to my big sister, Paula. I hope she's watching, sister. I love you, because she was one of the first foster kids my parents got. We've had a ton of foster kids come in and out of my mother and father's house. It's so sad. Matter of fact, some of the youngest ones we got were like at age 2, and now they already have kids now. I'm not going to call her name out because her name is so unique you could actually look her up and find her, so I'm not going to call her name out. My mom and dad got her when she was like a toddler, and now she's old enough, and now she has kids of her own. The system is overflowing, no pun intended, with children that are taken out of these homes from situations just like this. We're lucky that none of these children are dead. How about that? Y'all want me to keep going? Okay, y'all said keep going, so let's keep going, okay? Now, the toilets. We haven't even got to the bathroom where most of the stinkiness is. The toilets in both bathrooms did not look like they had been flushed in weeks, despite the apartment having working water. Again, guys, out of South Dallas, Texas, this is Robert Preston, age 31 years old. He is a horrible human being. I don't even think I don't think you can qualify him as a human being. What do you guys think? We almost got 200 people in the building. If y'all could, hit that thumbs up for me. What do you guys think in the comment section? Am I being too harsh on Mr. Robert Preston? I don't think he's a human being. I don't think he has a soul. I don't think he has blood flowing in a heart inside of his chest. I think he has a heart muscle that pumps piss inside of his chest. That's the only thing that I can rationalize this with and say, how can a person be so okay with being around such filthy circumstances? It must be because that's who you are on the inside, so you must have piss and nastiness on the inside of you. His heart pumps piss. Guys, have you ever heard that terminology before? Well, that might be your first time. Let's talk about these bathrooms. The bathrooms look like they hadn't been flushed in weeks, even though they had working water. Can you imagine that? Oof. Oof. In one feces-laden closet, the closet was feces-laden, an officer found a malnourished puppy dog. On top of the children, they found a damn dog, a malnourished puppy that didn't have access to food or water. So he was probably emaciated where you could probably see the bones. The children reacted to the dog as if they had never seen it before, screaming and running around. This is what the affidavit says. They were screaming and running from the dog. Big ass question mark. Big question mark. It's so many question marks here. It's just unreal. The officers observed the boys playing together. This is the worst part. This might make you hurt on the inside. If you got a heart on the inside of your chest, y'all might want to clutch your chest, clutch your pearls. This might hurt. Think about this. The officers observed the boys playing together, that their language patterns seemed to be quote unquote off. The boys' language patterns seemed to be off, according to the officer, because they primarily communicated with one another by way of gestures. The boys primarily communicated with each other by way of gestures. You know, like gestures, you know, making hand gestures, facial gestures, not talking. 2 years old, 2 twin 3-year-olds, and a 5-year-old can't talk. Can't communicate. At 5? At 3? Really? I could just be the dumb one. I could just be an asshole. I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at this wrong. Maybe there's nothing wrong with this. I don't know. You guys got to let me know. Type something in the comment section. Mash those buttons. Tell me what you think. Say something. Speak out, forever hold your peace. Am I wrong for saying what I'm saying? The officers said they primarily communicated with one another by way of gestures and body language and screams. Jesus Christ. Screams. Imagine that. Kids screaming at each other because they don't know how to communicate. They have not been taught by anybody. They were sheltered from the world. They called one another, quote unquote, Robert, and didn't even know their own names. It just makes you want to throw your hands up. Guys, 4 total children between 5 years old, a 3-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old do not know their designation, their name. The most important thing that you will ever be given in life, they don't know it. The first thing that you are supposed to learn in life is your name. Does that break your heart just a little bit? Does that make your heart muscle bleed just a little bit? Do you feel anything in there? Imagine your child doesn't know its name because you ain't trying. You're not even trying at all. What do you call them? Hey, you. What do you call the kid? Woo! What do you call a kid that don't know its name? They called one another Robert and didn't know their own names. That's according to the affidavit. The children do not appear to have been socialized in a normal manner, and it appears they had limited contact with anyone outside of their immediate family. Preston acted, however, the situation was normal. This fool acted like this entire thing was normal. So, Child Protective Services confirmed that Preston has 2 other children, which are a 9-year-old girl and a 6-year-old girl. This nasty, stinky, filthy individual that some women or woman was spreading her body open for him to lay his seed and plant seeds in the ground and procreate with, had multiple opportunities to realize that this dude wasn't shit. Not only did he have 4 kids, he had 2 other ones that they had to find out about after the fact. 2 girls, ages 9 and ages 6, who were at a different home at the time that he was arrested. What kind of choices are we making for fathers, my sisters? Seriously. It's a lot of good brothers out there, and I don't know what it is about women and not picking good men, You can sleep with anybody accidentally, but you don't have to procreate with them. When I say sleep with somebody accidentally, you can sleep with somebody and not know that they're a good person. But you shouldn't be bringing children into this world unless you are dead positive. That's because it's not like this is an accident. You don't get pregnant by accident. You do that intentionally, and you got days and weeks and months and months and months. And now that the laws have changed, you have up to 9 months to commit an abortion. 0 excuses. Can we get a hashtag 0 excuses in the chat? 0 excuses on the male and female's behalf. This is ridiculous. Now, the girls, they have also been placed into foster care. So the girls were placed into foster care. That's, man. 3 of the boys were immediately put into custody of Child Protective Services, while the 2-year-old boy was taken to Children's Medical Center in Dallas for treatment. Now, the puppy was seized by Dallas Animal Services, and I'm going to tell you guys, this is not in the report, but I'm going to tell you they're probably going to put the dog down. All right? Now, Preston remained in the Dallas County Jail on Thursday. Bail was set at $80,000. That's $8,000 if you get a bail bondsman. So I don't know if that's appropriate or not. You said it, he's not going to get out for that. I don't think anybody's going to come bail him out because they didn't even bother to try to bail the children out of this situation. 4 counts of child endangerment, and there was no bail for the probation violation. So he ain't getting out no matter what. Court records show he pleaded guilty in 2016 to robbing a man at gunpoint on February the 25th of 2015. He was sentenced to 5 years probation, but officials say he repeatedly violated terms of that sentence by failing to report to the Community Supervision Office, complete community service hours, and pay court fees. That was years ago, and that means throughout this entire time, he continued to keep procreating. Let's get the fair usage up on the screen. So apparently, I guess that's just okay. So let's go ahead and move on to the video. 227 people, hit that thumbs up, please. It'll share the show. Let other people know that we're live. Let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
On Saturday, police were called to the Rosemont at Meadow Lane apartments by neighbors who found a 3-year-old boy outside alone with no coat and shivering in the cold. As they were investigating, officers say Robert Preston approached them, saying he had left his children to go to a nearby store. Police arrested him for violating probation on an old robbery charge, then found 3 other children inside his apartment.
If y'all didn't catch that, I'm going to repeat his actual charges because they just said it. I don't know if y'all can hear that on the video very well. I'm going to say this again. Tingle Man, 63, 5 years probation for armed robbery. Yes. He got probation. And I can almost guarantee you that he had that weapon illegally. That's why it hurts the law-abiding citizens, the people like us that follow the laws, that believe in the sanctity of the Constitution, and we believe in following the law, and we believe in our rights as United States citizens and following the law. It hurts us because they're trying to take guns away and impose laws on us that make shit harder on us, and we follow the law. This dude is not following the law. His charges dated back to 2016 when he pleaded guilty to robbing a man at gunpoint on February the 25th of 2015. Y'all can Google that. Robert Preston robbed a man at gunpoint February 25th of 2015. He was sentenced to 5 years of probation. And he didn't even respect that. He repeatedly violated the terms of that sentence by failing to report to the Community Supervision Office. He also failed to complete community service hours, which isn't that hard to do. I got in a little trouble when I was 19 years old and had to do community service. And he failed to pay court fees. Ridiculous.
The Rosemont at Meadow Lane apartments by neighbors who found a 3-year-old boy outside alone with no coat and shivering in the cold. As they were investigating, officers say Robert Preston approached them, saying he had left his children to go to a nearby store. Police arrested him for violating probation on an old robbery charge, then found 3 other children inside his apartment. Officers say it was filthy and had no furniture. According to Preston's arrest warrant obtained by our partners at the Dallas Morning News, the children displayed off language patterns. They used facial expressions, body language, gesturing, and screams to communicate. The children do not appear to have been socialized in a normal manner, and it appears they had limited contact with anyone outside their immediate family.
Who does this surprise? It doesn't surprise me because I think there's a lot of irresponsibility in the black community. That's why I say we need to separate ourselves from the trash of our community. We really do.
The document goes on to say the entire apartment reeked of feces, and the toilets in both bathrooms did not appear to have been flushed in weeks. The warrant also says they discovered a malnourished puppy inside that apartment, locked in a closet full of waste. Animal control officers took it.
Animal control officers took it. I don't know why there was a pause in there. I couldn't even fix that. But again, if you guys want to donate to the show, if you guys appreciate what we do, if you feel this in your heart, if you feel like our message is making a difference with us putting our information, our thoughts, even our lives in some cases, because I've had people threaten my life over this bullshit, right? But I believe in the children enough that it doesn't matter to me. I stay strapped, so it's all good for me. I'm going to make sure to continue to speak against the injustices that are happening against children. That's my mission. If you guys want to stand on that mission, you might not want to step out there and do it yourself, and that's fine. We just have to lead by example for the most part. If you see something, say something. We could always report it to the police. They put their lives and their jobs on the line for this type of thing so they could step in, and hopefully it's not too late for the children. But if you guys want to donate to a cause, if you ever have never donated to a cause, you could start here and you can sign up. The links are in the description box. You can donate something now by way of Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. You can sign up on Patreon, which is monthly, $5 a month. Real simple. And that supports us like good if we can get a couple more people to support there. Let's keep going, guys. We got a couple more videos. If nothing else, at least hit the thumbs up. That will share the show and let other people know that we're live. That'll share the message. Let's talk about this a little bit more.
From what police are describing there, police say 3 children were all alone last Saturday in a filthy apartment with a stove running, and a 4th child was found wandering in the street. It was an alert.
Hashtag where's the hashtag? Thank you, Dwayne. Hashtag where's the mother? We always asking hashtag where's the father? Where are the mothers in these situations? For the 2 girls that weren't in this house? And then the 4 boys? Hashtag where's the mothers?
Running, and a 4th child was found.
Matter of fact, if CPS is taking these children, they didn't automatically try to give and reach out and give custody to the mother. So that would lead me to believe that the mother isn't around, but why not? Usually the mother is around. Usually the queens is around.
Found wandering in the street. It was an alert neighbor who took the wandering child in and called police. Child Protective Services says it has custody of all 4 kids, along with 2 siblings from a different location. Today, from jail, the father, Robert Preston, denied putting his kids in danger, and Fox 4's Lynn Ann Wynn is in Dallas.
Of course he's going to deny putting his kids in danger. Y'all hit that thumbs up, please. Of course he's going to deny it.
Outside the county jail.
Did the courts give him custody? That part, I don't know if he had legal custody or not. It was just kids in his possession that DNA belonged to him, as far as I know.
Yeah, with more on the case. Lynn Ann.
Steve, Preston says he went to just go check his mail for only a few minutes when one of his children got out of the house. He says that he is not a bad father.
I am not a bad person. I am not a bad father. I love my kids. Anybody that know me and my family will tell you that.
If that was the case, Mr. Robert Preston, because maybe eventually they're probably going to give you probation for this too. Apparently, I guess children's lives just don't matter. They're going to probably throw the kids right back in your hands so we can screw the kids up even more. But if your family could tell us that, then why isn't your family reaching out and helping in this situation? There's just so many unanswered questions.
I am not a bad person. I am not a bad father. I love.
Yes, you are.
Love my kids. Anybody that know me and my family will tell you that.
Speaking to Fox 4 from the Dallas County Jail, Robert Preston faces 4 counts of child endangerment. Police say a neighbor found one of Preston's 4 children out in the cold, wandering the street last Saturday with only a t-shirt, pants, and 1 shoe on.
Question, real quick. Have you guys ever walked into like one of these black kids and they weren't able to talk very well? Does that ever bother you? Guys, you're not tripping. You're not tripping if you think to yourself on the inside, because I know y'all be worried about people calling you names and saying you're a bad, horrible person. You shouldn't look at it like that. It is something severely wrong if children can't talk when they should be at an age where they can talk. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Police say when Preston showed up at the neighbor's apartment, he told them he went to the store for 10 to 15 minutes. But in our interview, he said he was only gone a few minutes, checking the mail, and that he had noticed one of his children got out.
That was the first time I ever did that. The first time I ever did that.
How many of y'all believe that? I don't.
According to the arrest affidavit, police say the entire apartment reeked of feces, and the toilets of both bathrooms did not appear to have been flushed in weeks, even though the water in the apartment was in working order. Police also say the floor was filthy, unkept, and there were bottles of various types of alcohol that were left open on the floor.
I was going to clean it up, but you know, I was tired because I've been running around with them. We do not live like that.
I was going to clean it up. You was always going to clean it up. It's just like when DHS or child supports or child protective services finally show up at your door, knocking at the door. I was going to clean it up. Y'all remember that lady's house that had the 10 children there? And when they finally came and arrested her and the dude that was living with her, they was like, well, we were going to clean it up. And then, but the police, when they came and searched, they were the ones tore it up and made it look nasty like this. When you could tell that took time. It took time for that place to get as nasty as it was. Of course you were going to, I was going to clean it up. I was going to clean it. Well, let me stop.
Been on the floor.
I was going to clean it up, but you know, I was tired because I've been running around with them. We do not live like that on a regular, man. We are not bad people.
How does he not live like that on a regular? Guys, he has no food in the house. He has no furniture in the house. The kids don't know their names. They can't communicate, and they only communicate by gestures. And you mean to tell me this is not a daily thing? The thing about children don't lie, even by way of their circumstances and by way of how they interact with people. Children tell you the story, whether they can physically tell you or whether they just show you. You can see the story. The fact that they don't know their names, the fact that they can't talk, the fact that they're dirty, the fact that they stink. That tells you this is how you live every single day. When children don't even know what their names are.
That was just a situation that we was in at that moment and at that time.
Police also say the children, ages 5, 3, and 2, did not know their own names and were nonverbal, using facial expressions, body language, and gesturing and screams to communicate.
We teach them that my kids are premature. So they really don't know how to answer questions or anything like that.
They were premature. Sir. That's just like when women are saying, I had postpartum depression when I decided to kill my 6-year-old son. Your kids were premature, but eventually the premature ends, doesn't it? Guys, I'm not trying to be funny. I am bringing a little levity to this situation, but seriously, doesn't prematureness end eventually? Or am I just stupid? Guys, we are doing the moonwalk. We're doing the Michael Jackson moonwalk in the stance of the black community. We are taking giant leaps and steps and marathons backwards. Bring the whole race back. It's just almost like if you almost was at the finish line, you're just like, Everybody start over. Go back to the finish line. Start over. Bring it back. Bring it back. I know y'all was almost done. Come on back. Come on back. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all you guys, I know them guys have done a whole lot of work for you guys. Black History Month, your black leaders, your pro-blacks, I know they've done a whole lot of work. Bring it on back. Fuck all that. Bring it back. Bring it back.
A police affidavit.
Premature. Seriously? That's the excuse for a 5-year-old, 2 3-year-olds, and a 2-year-old. They can't communicate and they don't know their names and they scream at each other and make gestures because they don't know how to talk because they're premature? Okay. We'll go with that.
At that time.
Police also say the children, ages 5, 3, and 2, did not know their own names and were nonverbal, using facial expressions, body language, and gesturing and screams to communicate.
We teach them that my kids are premature. So they really don't know how to answer questions.
Does he even know what the definition of premature is? How much y'all want to bet? I bet you probably don't.
Or anything like that.
The police affidavit also says officers discovered a malnourished puppy locked in a filthy closet that the children seemed to know nothing about. Neighbors say they had no idea there were children living in the apartment.
They have no daycare. They have never been around other kids. They have no shot records. They have nothing. They are lost. This is fixable because they're young. Hopefully they will find a good home with somebody that's going to provide and care for them. Because the father clearly doesn't.
And had never seen any kids with Preston.
I never saw any children. The only time I ever heard was like a kid's whistle blowing coming from the apartment. But
if this neighbor, this lady right here, says that she never saw any kids with him, then how could he, when he said that he was tired, which is why he don't clean up the house because he's always running around with the kids, then why is it that nobody ever seen him running around with the kids? Listen to what she said again.
Kids with Preston.
I never saw any children. The only time I ever heard was like a kid's whistle blowing.
She never saw any children. This is his neighbor. The closest person to him, physically, never saw any kids. Think about that. Listen again.
I never saw any children. The only time I ever heard was like a kid's whistle blowing coming from the apartment, but I never saw any kids or really heard much.
No one should live like that. And with little kids living like that, it breaks my heart because who would have anybody living like that? Not even a dog should live like that.
She said not even a dog should live like that. And guess what? He actually had a dog living like that. How about that?
Preston has a record that includes armed robbery and domestic violence. The affidavit says nothing about the mother of the children or any knowledge she might have about the conditions. But Preston says she was at her mother's home when this happened.
Please don't try to make us seem like we just bad parents, man, because we are not.
Okay. Question time. Let's take a poll real quick while we got about 250, 260. I don't know how many people in the building because y'all got to hit the thumbs up and let me know how many people is in the building. So what makes you a bad parent? You can have your children living in squalor and feces and unflushed toilets and sinks that are overflowing that smells like dead animals with no furniture, with kids sitting and eating on the floor, living in their own filth with hardly any clothes, can't talk. You don't even know that they done left the damn prison that you left them in. That doesn't make you a bad parent. It doesn't make you a bad parent to leave your child in an attic while it's hot and that child gets diaper rash so bad that his skin falls off. That doesn't make, and then it ends up killing the kid because the kid is also unfed and dehydrated. That doesn't make you a bad parent. It doesn't make you a bad parent when you fall asleep and your kid goes outside and locks himself outside and freezes to death, that doesn't make you a bad parent. It doesn't make you a bad parent to physically kill your kid, burn your kid, hide your kid, and then call 911 to lie and tell them that somebody abducted your kid, and then come to find out they start a citywide search for your kid and they can't find your kid. And then we come to find out that you take a polygraph test and find out that you're lying about your kid being stolen. And then we find your kid in your backyard. We found the remains buried in the backyard inside of a red purse. That doesn't make you a bad parent. It doesn't make you a bad parent to shoot your kid in the head with a gun. It doesn't make you a bad parent to kill your kid and burn your kid in an oven. It doesn't make you a bad parent to take your kid's head while you're giving it a bath and showing it on Facebook Live and shoving his head underneath water. That doesn't make you a bad parent. It doesn't make you a bad parent to smoke weed in front of your kids and then turn around and take the blunt and pass the blunt, make your kids smoke the blunt and then pass the blunt to the other kid. That doesn't make you a bad parent. It doesn't make you a bad parent to not feed your fucking kid, change your kid's diaper, wash and bathe your kid, and it doesn't make you a bad parent for your kids not knowing their own names. Guys, I'm not exaggerating. In less than 2 months, those are all stories I have reported just in the past 60 days. Call me crazy if you want to. Call me a coon if you want to. Call me a bald-headed, fat-ass, ugly, bearded person if you want to, like they always tend to do in the comments section. But one thing you won't do is call motherfuckers like this bad parents. Picture that.
We try to do the best that we can for our children. We don't have no help.
And Preston does have a previous criminal history. He's been arrested multiple times for assault, aggravated robbery, and burglary. Steve?
This is the last video, guys. Y'all do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up. Let's get it in.
5:35 now, in time for your morning rush here on this Friday morning. Other news making headlines. 4 young children and a starving puppy rescued from a filthy apartment in South Dallas. The affidavit says the kids didn't even know their own names. The dad, Robert Preston, had walked to the store and is now charged in this case after a neighbor found one of the kids running in the road at the complex.
I'm going to tell you guys something. If not for that neighbor doing what I've been telling you guys to do this whole time, I don't want you guys to put yourself in legal harm, and I don't want you guys to put yourself at any type of risk, because we all have to live our lives. But the least you can do is if you see something, say something. If you guys want to put your lives on the line, I totally understand. But at least understand that there are consequences that come with every action. There are consequences that come with sleeping with random people. There are consequences when it comes to us not having the proper education. There's consequences to working, crappy jobs. There's consequences to everything that we do in life. There's consequences to us driving too fast. There's consequences of us doing anything in life. For every action, there's a reaction. For every broken law, there's a consequence for it, right? The laws are set up in a way to give us some type of guidance, some type of boundaries, things to be able to work within. You know what I'm saying? If they're laws that we don't like, we can always vote on these things. We can vote. We can get the right people in office. We can propose bills. We can propose laws. We can protest. I haven't heard Black Lives Matter jump out on any story that I've done. And I think I've probably done about 200 and something stories. Black Lives Matter has not jumped on one of my stories except for the one in Jasmine Barnes in Houston. And they only jumped on it because it was a white person, supposedly. And they come to find out it was black people, and then they disappeared. Everybody disappeared. We haven't heard nothing else about Jasmine Barnes since then. But I'm going to tell you guys the weirdest thing about this story is the fact that when I looked up his story from 10 different links, guess who I found the most often? When I looked up Robert Preston, age 31, guess what most news articles were trying to show me? Information about Juicy Smollett. I Google searched information on him. It returned searches, even in the middle of my story, telling me more and more about Juicy Jussie. When you have 4 children and boys on top of that are prisoners of their father, and if not for the neighbor, none of this would have ever been found out. These children might have died. These children were probably going to end up being worse, and they're going to turn around and be burdens on the rest of society. This is why if you see something, say something. Hashtag, where are the fathers? That's not a father. He's not even a human being. Hashtag, where's the mothers? We haven't heard of mothers in this situation. Hashtag, where's the community? Guys, we got to do better. I don't like this at all, and I hope that they really, really start giving him some real consequences. Every criminal has a story. Of course, he has his story. He don't feel like he did anything wrong. It is always somebody else's fault. We have to start taking accountability in the black community. When it comes to filth, there is no excuse for filth. Even if you ain't got money, all it takes is a little bit of effort to clean up. Throw out a little trash. All it takes is a little effort to clean up. When it comes to teaching children how to read and how to talk and know what their names are, all it takes is a little bit of effort. And if you're not willing to make the effort, then by my goodness, then I don't think you should be a parent. Suffer by yourself. Suffer in your own misery. But stop putting children at risk. That is my message to you guys. Don't ever get sad about my stories. Let's learn from it. Let's rejoice and be happy. Can we be happy for a moment? I'm going to tell you why we should be happy. Because 4 boys lived. They survived. They're a horrible father. They lived. This is a positive story. So let's give it up for that. These boys lived. They can be rehabilitated. A 5-year-old, you can teach a 5-year-old. You can damn sure teach a 3-year-old, and you absolutely can mold a 2-year-old into whatever you want it to be. These boys are not lost, and they do have a future, and I hope that they watch this 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and they know that DJ Just Jay spoke out for them. I would love to see this turn into something positive. Prayer hands up. Thank you guys so much for sharing the show and coming through and checking us out. We are out of this thing. I'm going to play a little music, and I'm going to read the donations that came into the show. And if you guys want to donate, you guys know the links are in the description box. This is your boy DJ Just Jay, Soto Podcast. See you guys on the next show. Peace.